hello, beautiful people. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. How are you doing? If you are new here, welcome. My name is Darina Namara. I'm the founder and the CEO of The Smart Woman, and I help high achieving women getting promoted to leadership roles without sacrificing themselves. And what I do as a passion project, I'm the host of the Standout From The Crowd LinkedIn show, live show actually, LinkedIn show. We are multi-stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter as well to bring you the best guests, the best experts, to share with you what you need to know, to give you that little dose of motivation, inspiration. We share stories, we share practical tips. We have guests from all over the world coming here and sharing their stories and their expertise with us so you can stand out from the crowd and build the life that you had envisioned for yourself and your family. And today, it's all about it, how to become your best self. So I don't know if you feel the same, but it's been a while now, and that people talk about personal development, professional development, the mindset, unleashing your full potential, all of this. And sometimes so many people talk about it so many times that you feel like it might be trending, it's buzzy, so I want to talk about it. But actually they are like specialists, people whose specialties and who have spent years studying our behavior, the impact of our environment on who we are and who we become, the impact of the words that we tell yourself, the impact of the people we surround ourselves with. So it's complex, but today we have an amazing guest that is going to debunk everything for you and for us, because I'm going to learn a lot from him as well, and to help you become your best self. And as usual, tell us where you are tuning in from. Okay, use the caption, use the comments to introduce yourself, to tell us where you're coming from, to network with your peers, your next best friend, co-workers, colleague, employers, employee may be in the chat. So let's get started. And let me join Clayton. How are you doing?
I'm very good, Darina. Thank you very much for having me on your marvelous show. I've been looking forward to it for some time now, and that's quite some introduction. I love your shows. I keep up with them regular, and what you do is totally amazing. It's well needed now, of course, around the world in today's day and age. And no, it's just a pleasure, and I'm so excited to be on your show. So thank you.
Wow, what an introduction. I'm not sure. Am I the host or you are the host? Because that was such a
No,
good
you're the host.
introduction. So
I'm the humble guest.
let me see if we are live on all platforms, because I'm seeing some note here on my end and I want to ensure that all the people, okay, here I see you. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So let's get started. John, so when I was looking, I was reading your profile, and I know you are multi-talented, you are multifaceted, you do a lot of things, but what you have at heart, and I know it because I have known you for a couple of months now, it's to help people. It's to help people make profound changes so they can live, sorry, they can live a beautiful life. Oh, I will leave it with you while I'm drinking water. So tell us
Well,
more about
Darina,
what you do.
yes, absolutely, Darren, and thank you. I mean, I come from a background of human development, behavioral development, and more so today, it's more common today, with personal development, and we have some hugely talented people around the world giving out advice and how you can actually apply and be better and be the best version of yourself. And I've been in the field now for well over 10 years, probably longer. And I feel, especially today, Darren, that it's really needed today. for various reasons, for many reasons. And my aim now is to help people. It's a passion of mine, to help people lead a much better, rewarding, and happier life as well, a more fulfilled life. So that's what one of my goals is.
And so how did it all started actually, because I know you have a career, you have a successful career, but then how did this passion project, and then you have spent 10 years in this field, so how it all started? When did you realize that, okay, there is something here that I can do, and I want to get myself better at it so I can help and empower others?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I said 10 years, but I'm thinking about it now, and I guess it's been closer to now 12 years. So time's going so fast. But no, the way it started for me really was growing up. I lived in an environment where my mindset, I wasn't conscious enough. So back then, I didn't know that I didn't know. And back then, you go on in life growing up and you're surrounded in a certain environment. And I guess my environment, although it was a happy childhood, I found myself more in survival mode rather than growth mode. And I went through various stages of my life struggling. It's well documented that growing up, I struggled with dyslexia. And as a knock-on effect, that knocked my confidence. But the key thing is I didn't know I didn't know. And eventually, as time went on in my life, the light bulb moment came on into my head. And of course, growing up, I knew I needed help with my confidence. I needed help with how I felt about myself. And what I started to do is look for various psychological and personal development techniques that could help me. So I went on a little bit of a mission, and I started looking at different ways of how I could help myself, or if people could help me. And I started to see people and look at different psychological disciplines, from psychotherapy, from CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, and all that kind of stuff. But what really became apparent in the early days was that, for me personally, there was no real profound change. There were theories, there was lots of education on psychology and on certain aspects of psychotherapy. But I used to go away thinking I hadn't been really that helped, or there was no practical application I could go out and use, or
That's
there was
the
no
thing.
real profound change. So I went around and looked at various techniques, and went around the world and looking at various world-renowned experts and everything else. And that took me to personal development, to sort people who were considered the best in the world at their discipline. And then that I kind of walked through into NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming. Most people have heard of it by now. And as a consequence, to cut a very long story short, I took various qualifications, did a degree in clinical hypnosis, and it went on from there. But I think what was really apparent was, as I was going on and learning and getting all this amazing knowledge, the more I learned and studied, the more I knew very little. Very
Oh,
little about
yeah,
the
it's a
mindset.
huge, exactly. We
Absolutely.
know, as of today, we know a lot, but we know so little on the power of the mind and the subconscious mind and all of this. But let's get back a little bit. So you said, you didn't know what you didn't know, and we don't know what we don't know, right? So
Yes.
when did you realize that indeed you were on a survival mode, What was
Yes.
the aha moment that you said you thought like, oh, but hold on, this is not the life that I'm supposed to be. I'm on a survival mode. I need to learn how to shift to a growth mode. So how did it happen?
Yes, well, I mean, I was growing up and going to school and taking a conventional education like most of us,
Hmm.
and it was only really till I left school and I started thinking about my purpose in life. What am I going to do? What's going to make me happy and be fulfilled? And what I started to do is started to expand my circle of friends, my circle of colleagues. I started to speak to different people from different backgrounds. And that's when the light bulb came off into my head, actually, because I realized that, my life could be a lot better. Growing up as a late teenager, I was full of, I guess, anger and stress, and uh,
Mm,
and I think the lack of confidence in me growing up was manifested, and it was manifested through anger. And what happened was, it was only until I got out into the real world, I started to compare myself to other people, and I realised that, the life I led in the past wasn't necessarily the life I wanted to lead in the future. And I go against comparing with people,
yeah,
for various reasons. But on this occasion, what it did really is really highlight to me that I needed to make profound change, because I didn't know I didn't know what limiting beliefs were. I didn't know the effects of stress, what that was, and I certainly didn't know the profound effects with the life I could have, as opposed to the life I was currently having at that time. So that was really brought from my unconscious mind, really started to integrate into my conscious. So all the stuff and all the junk and all the stress and anger and resentment was just manifesting. And I knew at that point I needed to make profound changes. And that's when I went on my journey.
okay, that's wonderful, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. And let me look at the comment here. We have Noor who is sending us heart, and Dulce Maria who says thank you for bringing this. Yes, that's a very important topic. So the thing is, we oftentimes, most of the time, we know that we need to change something. We know that. Are you still with us? Oh, hello, hello, hello. Okay, let me check. Let me know on LinkedIn if you can see us, or at least see me and hear me. Oh, okay, he's back. Okay, hold on, hold on, hold on.
I'm
Hello,
sorry,
hello.
I don't know what happened there. I lost you for a moment.
That's okay. That's okay. So what I was telling you basically is like most of us, we know that we need to change a few things on a deeper level, on a maybe on a higher level, and oftentimes we are quite aware of what we need to change, right? So we know that there is a change that needs to happen, and most of the time we are aware of what we need to change.
Yes.
But for most of us, there is that resistance that stop us from doing the work, from making the change that need to happens basically in order for us to become our best self. So why is that? Why is there like so much resistance in us to make the change happen in order to, and we know, despite that, we know that it could bring us like to new higher level, better level, like greater happiness and all of this, we know that, but still there is this resistance that we're like, oh, okay, and we keep postponing, or we try a little bit and we go back and forth. So why is that?
Yes, I mean, what I always say to people when I'm speaking to people on a one-to-one basis, or whether it's in with a group of people, one of the things you've got to really think about is distinguishing the conscious mind and the what I say is the unconscious mind. Now we know now it's becoming a little bit more in the public, and people now are a little bit more aware. Really, what the difference is and why we know we need to do something but we don't actually take that action is because our conscious mind really works in terms of we are aware and we do know that we need to do certain changes within our lives. Maybe we need to find a new career, maybe we need to find a new circle of friends and we need to make some changes. The conscious mind really is what sets goals. So, you might have a goal to achieve, whether that's to get more confidence, whether that's to release some form of negative emotion, but that's all quite conscious. And really, what you've got to realize is that's the conscious goal setter. But the goal getter, actually doing that, is the unconscious mind, where the unconscious mind is the goal getter. All behavior is unconscious. So, you might say to yourself, okay, John, you need to change, or I need to change. I need to do something. I need to be a better version of myself. Consciously, I'm aware of that. But unconsciously is where the magic happens. Unconsciously is where you go out and get that goal. The problem is a lot of people, they'll consciously be aware of what they need to do, but unconsciously, the driving force of behavior, we don't always do what we set out to do. Now that can be dependent on the person. There's all sorts of variable factors why we don't actually go out and do what we do. But essentially what it really does boil down to is the fear. The fear of change, the fear of actually breaking out of your comfort zone, the fear of actually, taking action, and the fear of, to be in control of our own lives and to be self-empowered. And that, I say unfortunately, it's not unfortunate, but that it really is the unconscious mind is the driving force. And the unconscious mind is all the early programs that was installed into people's minds from being a baby. It's often said, especially in developmental psychology, that when we're born, we get these early programs installed into our minds, and we operate really. We get our programs, the developmental process, from being born till around 7 years old. There's a famous saying that, show me the person, or show me the boy, show me the girl at 7 years old, and I'll show you the man or the woman. So really that takes us into adulthood, and the things the programs we got into our minds at a very early age, we then operate that system, but usually it's unconsciously. And then if we don't go out and do what we do, that would be due to negative emotion, limiting beliefs, doubt, low confidence, and everything else. And that's one of the real driving forces as to why we do or we don't do what we do.
Okay, so there is the conscious mind, unconscious mind. The conscious mind is the goal setter, and the unconscious mind is the go getter. Go.
You've nailed it. You've nailed it, Darren. Absolutely.
That's the first time that someone explained it to me, like in a way that is so much like comprehensible. And so we have a LinkedIn user here who says, yes, we have the power to take the control of our destiny. Indeed. So based on the unconscious mind that will push you to take action. I think you may have the conversation on another screen. If you could just mute the screen of what you watch. Are you watching the live conversation on another device?
Oh no, Darren.
Oh, okay. Because there is an echo. I can hear my voice, but that's okay. I was just.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So How, and that's a question from Dulce Maria who says, okay, but where to start? So, my question, to back up your question, Dulce, is okay, so now we know the difference, we understand the importance of each side. But how do we start taking action on the a subconscious mind? How are we talking here about the power of habits? How do you do it on a daily basis? Like, how do
Yeah,
you force it?
yes, I think one of the things, and it's a great question as well, but where to start? And I think that's a really good question. I think what you've really got to understand is you've got to look at yourself and you've got to go on how you feel. And if you feel that you're happy, you're fulfilled, you're constantly in growth mode, you love life, you love the people around you, if every aspect of your life is perfect, that's fantastic. But what you've got to also do is you've got to also then listen to your intuition, listen to your feelings, listen to what your feelings are telling you. And your feelings are really, really important because for me it's the vibrational energy. Whether we operate on a low frequency where life's not that great, I'm tired, something's not quite right, I'm not 100% sure, blah 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 blah. If that happens, you've then got to start to dig deep, and you've got to start to listen to your frequency, your vibrational energy, your intuition. And if you know and that feeling deep down that something has to change, you've then got to start planning and start taking, simple but measurable steps in order to get where you want to be. Now, that's subjective, of course. That depends on the person, of course. But you've got to start to think about if things aren't that great, you've got to start taking changes. And even if it's those little baby steps forward, and I always say to people when I speak to people on a one-to-one basis, if you feel that you need to change, do it. Because what's going to happen is that if you don't take action and you don't take those steps, life is going to do it for you. And you
Hmm.
don't really want to be doing that because what that's going to do is then that's going to create more pain. That's going to create more resentment, more fear, more anger. And what that's going to do is it's like a bubble, where, the bubble gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's your emotions, that's the negative emotions, that's the negative feeling, the vibrational energy. And the bubble's growing and growing and growing, and then it's going to burst, it's going to pop. And then life is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, John, you need to start to change. Now, that's good in some way, but it's the most painful aspect of it because life is now presenting itself and saying to you, John, change or things are going to get worse, unfortunately. So what you've got to do is the moment you start to get those feelings of some form of negative emotion, then you've got to start to make clear, defined goals. Now, goals get talked about a lot during now this day and age. One thing you've got to really bear in mind, though, is that you've got to take simple, clear, concise goals and make them simple. They don't have to be complicated. And
Mm-hmm.
what I suggest to people is act as if you have it now. So, for example, maybe I'm wanting to be more confident and I know my confidence is low and everything else. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write those goals down, but in a very clear, concise way. But I'm going to act as if I've got them right now. And the reason why this is incredibly important is because your unconscious mind, which is the behavior, is going to realize that and it's going to receive that message loud and clear that, hey, right now I am a very confident person. And what's going to happen is your unconscious mind is going to start to make those changes. It's going to start to integrate in your daily life, and you're unconsciously, you're going to start to produce that behavior. The unconscious mind really does favor clear, concise directions. And it's that focus. So if you focus on that and you act as if it's now, right now, you'll produce that behavior unconsciously.
So that's amazing. So set up a goal, but that can be one goal at a time. Keep it simple, be precise, and I like what you say, do it now. And like do you I have heard, so again, I don't know if it's trending or not, if there is a real impact there, but I have been hearing the stories of people being actors and all of this, where they say, okay, you count up to five and you gotta make that action within that 5 seconds, because otherwise your mind will just postpone it. Is that true?
I think it is true, yes, because the unconscious mind is the superpower. We on a day-to-day basis, a person is going to operate 90% of the time is going to operate unconsciously. And one thing I will say about the unconscious mind as well is we've talked about that it needs clear, direct instructions, but your unconscious mind is incredibly fast at learning, at processing. It's very fast in doing things, in taking action. So absolutely, there is this 5 second take rule. I haven't heard of that, but it's an extremely important point you've raised here, because it really does. It's really consistent with the unconscious mind, because the unconscious mind takes action and it wants to do things quickly.
Wow. And so it makes sense, right? When you say do it now in the present, do it now. I remember, so this year, after having tried and failed so many years at implementing a morning routine, this year is the first year ever that it's been 8 months now that I have been consistent with my morning routine, changing and improving, my morning routine. But the thing is, I would always say, "Oh, okay, I wake up at 5:30. I will do it tomorrow. I had a
Yes.
tough day. I had a rough night. I didn't sleep well. I'm tired. I have a migraine." So I wouldn't wake up and go out. I had all kind of excuses for not doing it for years. And I would do it maybe for 1 week, 2 week, and then I would give up. And now I'm like, and what it changed in me is, I remember, so I live in Toronto, Canada. Winter is very cold and very long here. And so I was like, okay, the cold and snow is a perfect reason for not going outside, right? The darkness and all of this. And I was okay, 5:30 a.m. every morning. It was -20, -30, -40. I was
Oof.
outside. I was outside and I suffered and I hated myself, but I was like, there is no way I will do it. So it was hard for the first 3 months. It was really, really hard. And then I was like, okay, if I did it when the weather is so cold, I can do it when the weather is nicer and warmer. And even when it's raining, I go outside now because it's a no-brainer. I don't have to think about it. And internally, what it has changed for me is that I realize that I have the power over what I think, or over my mindset, or over all of this, and I feel empowered.
Yes, yes, and I've been there too, Darren, where you start to make excuses, you start to give reasons, and you start to give yourself reasons as to why not to do it. I think one of the biggest things we've got to do really is again, I'm probably repeating what people have said in the past, but there's a reason why people repeat it, because it works. And if you visualize things, but where it's compelling, again, your unconscious mind really just it's very symbolic, and it really responds to visualization, because it's a way where your unconscious mind has a way of responding, and it responds to visualization. It's I think there's a saying I once heard. This is not my saying; it's somebody else's. But it's like, if you visualize, you materialize. And I have heard that a few times. And it's a very good thing to say, because your unconscious mind does respond. It does respond to symbols that you have in your mind as well. So, if you're wanting to go out for a particular reason to do something, whether that's to work out, whether it's to go for a run, or anything for that matter. Act as if you have it now and constantly play the programs in your mind, what you have right now. And your unconscious mind is going to really, it's going to respond to that. And it's really going to you're going to start to produce that behavior. But as I said to you before, sometimes we go in a bubble, and it's only till we get really disturbed about our own lives where you're getting consistent reminders from life that change, or unfortunately life's going to cause you to change. And I prefer that people change before you get to that stage in your life.
Yeah.
And I think that's more, I guess, productive. And and it's never too late. And tomorrow is too late. And I always say, there is no tomorrow. And you've got to really focus on the present as well. And I think that's a good idea.
Exactly. And I like you when you say, it's preferable when it's a choice rather than life come and tap on your back. Because
Yeah.
oftentimes the way life comes and make you realize that enough is through illness, stress, burnout, and all these things, right? Most
Yes.
of the time is through something hard where your body tells you, listen, this is no longer sustainable. You have to act now. So
Absolutely.
John, we have hit the 30 minutes mark already. Uh,
Whoa.
we could, I know, and I say it all the time. We could talk on this, but you know what? We should have a second edition of this conversation because this is very, very interesting, and I'm learning a lot. And I'm sure for you, for those of you watching the live, and for those of you watching the replay, if you have any question for John, please leave it in the comments. We read and answer all your comments. And John, for the people who would like to know more about how you can help them, live their best life, how can they contact you?
Yeah, the best way to contact me is through social media. We have people who are on LinkedIn, and I believe you said YouTube and Facebook and everything. So, especially on LinkedIn, I'm very visible on LinkedIn. So,
Mhm.
if you search me, I'm always around on LinkedIn. If you haven't already connected with me, do so. Connect with me, message me. My door is always open, and I'm always happy to speak to people and learn more about people themselves as well.
And if you're looking for inspirational content, but more on a deep level, not the simple quotes that you copy and paste, but more on a deeper level, I strongly encourage you to look at John content, because through his content and the questions actually that you ask, you push ourselves to think about things in a way that we could have never thought of. So for this, thank you so much, John. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you
Yes.
for all the good that you bring to the LinkedIn platform. And yes, that's all for us today. What would be the last word, the last thing that you would like to share with our audience today?
I think one of the things is take care of your mindset, take care of your emotions, because your emotions, your physical well-being. You mentioned it a moment ago. Your physical well-being is a manifestation as to what's going on in the mind. I always say the mind is the body. There's sometimes we give distinction mind body, but if you integrate them both, if you have a healthy mind, you'll certainly have a healthy body.
That's very true. John, thank you so
Pleasure.
much. And we will plan the Tom 2 of this conversation because I really want to dig deeper. Thank you so much. For everyone else, you have a good day, wonderful afternoon, good night. And I will see you next week for another live episode. Thank you. Bye
A
bye.
pleasure, Doreen. Thank you.